Thanks so much, Indy. Our next guest is Stephen Hartley, an award-winning associate professor of architecture at Notre Dame. In addition to his many academic contributions, he has over 20 years of experience working in the traditional trades and has participated in projects throughout the world, including for clients such as the Smithsonian Institute, may have heard of it, the National Park Service, the Churches Conservation Trust, and several World Heritage sites. This past fall, Hartley taught a unique experiential course in the School of Architecture called Painting with Light. And as you'll be able to see, painting with light can yield something beautiful. I love this photo. Steve, welcome to Notre Dame Day. Let's just dive right into the work and tell us about the inspiration for this course. I'm so struck by the name itself, Painting with Light. Just gives you this image of beauty. Tell us where the inspiration came from.
Well, the inspiration for this class came from, luckily in my 20 years experience, I was able to work with and train with many prominent craftspeople throughout the world. One of them is a gentleman by the name of Charles Ziegler Lawrence. He's a was a Philadelphia stained glass artist. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2019. His daughters had contacted me. They wanted to donate some of his books to the institution I was working in. And I got to his house, and there were stacks of his designs and drawings. And they were going to throw them out because they didn't have room for them. So I said, I'm going to take all of these. And as I collected the archives, I started looking through it, and I said, this is a potential learning opportunity for a lot of students to study how stained glass windows go from concept to construction, starting with a simple sketch, like something we would see here, in a concept sketch, moving into something a little larger for the client. And this is for a window he executed in Maryland.
So these are from the archives?
These are from Charlie's archives.
Beautiful.
And then moving into the next step would be Illuminating, which is a clear window that is painted that you can look into to study light. And then finally into construction drawings and execution. So I needed to find a way to actually put these in the hands of students to gain the inspiration and gain an understanding of the process of stained glass windows.
And then this course was born, Painting with Light, which you taught for the first time this past fall. What was the student reaction to? Were some of them surprised about the process?
We did have some students who were actually shocked about how long it takes to create a stained glass window. They don't realize that sometimes larger stained glass windows can take years from first design concept to final installation. And one thing that they were able to understand and to appreciate through their work in the class is all of the individual steps, and actually sometimes having to go back to an earlier step when they realize getting to the next one, this isn't going to work. And they had a great reaction to the concept of the skill and the artistry that is involved in making these windows.
I want to talk about a topic I know that your work has often focused on, the generational transfer of knowledge of intangible craft skills.
Yes.
So tell me what that means and why that's so important for you to share with your students.
So intangible craft skills is a fancy way of saying learning from previous generations. And not only in craft practice and construction, but you can see it also in cooking, in art, in music. Our anthropologist Trevor Marchand says the human interaction and human vocal expression can only take you so far. So we can write it down in a book, we can look at it in a video, but really the only way to understand how to work is by watching someone work. If you ask anyone in any craft to explain what they do, eventually what's going to happen is they're going to pick up their tools or they're going to pick up the material. And at that point, you move from looking at their face to watching their hands. And that is intangible craft transmission. As Marchand says, you're stealing knowledge at that point, and you're watching what they're doing, how they're manipulating the materials, and how they're working. That can only be done when you're in a face-to-face interaction with a craftsperson that has been practicing for years. If we don't have those interactions, then we lose that knowledge. We can practice stained glass without being trained by someone, but you're going to make a lot of mistakes that you don't really have to make, and it's going to take you longer to do it if you don't actually have a mentorship to be able to do that. So my research and my work is scheduled around and practiced around how do we get young people engaged with those older craft practitioners to be able to continue that knowledge without that interruption.
Sort of like an apprenticeship that takes place right within the classroom in this experiential learning, right?
Yes.
And so what was that like for your students to interact with this trade, but then also within the South Bend community? Because there's a special connection there, right?
There is. Luckily, the best way to understand windows and get out there and look at them is to get out there and look at them. And through our contacts with Indiana Landmarks, we identified a church on the west side of Savannah, which is St. Adalbert's. St. Adalbert's is an historic church, was originally serving the Polish immigrant community of the west side. The church is commonly known as the Cathedral of the west side. It is now serving a Latino community. And the church needs some work. And luckily they're in the middle of a capital campaign to raise money. And we were stepped in or asked to come in and take a look at their windows. Their windows take half of their walls. So they were really concerned about the condition of their windows. So we were able to come in and actually do a physical assessment of the deterioration of their windows. Luckily for them, most of their windows are in really good shape, and we don't see any emergency situations. But Father Ryan and his team at St. Adalbert's were very welcoming, very open, and we're hoping to continue working with them in the future.
And I know restoration is kind of your sweet spot.
It is.
So
yes.
Personally, that must have been very exciting.
Yes, absolutely.
For you.
And anytime we can help a church who's doing tremendous things in the community, serving an underserved population, they're more than just Sunday morning. They're the focal point of that community. We want to be able to support them to be able to continue the great work that they do in that community. And if we can do something that can save them some money so they can put that to something else, then that's a win for everybody.
Absolutely. What's next for you now, building on the success of this course just in its first year? What's next year look like?
Well, next year we'll actually be offering Painting with Light again in the fall. And we are hopefully going to expand our craft series for greater, deeper appreciation of crafts, potentially in stone carving or masonry or decorative finishes, and really get the students to understand more about the connection and the role of craftsmen in the execution of the designs that they're making in their classes.
Thank you so much for coming and talking to us about your work that we can see around the community too. That's really special.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it. We will take a quick break, but when we come back, Pete Byrne will be talking all things Notre Dame football with Dick Corbett head coach Marcus Freeman. Stick around. Notre Dame Day 2024. We'll be right back.